Another facet of know your audience is to know what the audience wants from the communication. Let's say you're writing a briefing to a minister, or you're giving a presentation to your boss, or whatever it might be. What do they want out of this communication? And to have a good feel for this, you need to know your audience very well. In a business environment, it might be that you read all the memos, you follow the news stories about what your company's doing. Ideally, you actually spend time socializing with, chatting around the water cooler or the tea room with the other people in the company, so you know what they're interested in. So let's say you're presenting a new product to a business manager. What are they concerned about? They probably don't want to know how hard you worked on it and all the different alleyways you went down. They might be very, very busy. You probably get a sense of how busy your audience are, how much time they're going to give you. They might be really worried. For example, it could be that a new competitor has come along and is eating your market share. Can what you're telling them help them solve this? If so, they'll pay a lot of attention to it. If it's irrelevant, they probably won't pay attention to it. So having a good understanding, a good feeling for your audience, to know them well. Never pass up a time to read what they're writing, listen to what they're saying, spend time with the audience so that you know what their concerns are, what they're thinking about. Networking basically, and listening. Listen very hard to what they're saying. Communication is not about you talking and them listening. It's got to be a two-way street. Unless you know what the concerns of your audience are and what they're thinking, the way they think, the assumptions they have, you can't communicate well. Now here's an example of an office memo written in two different ways. On the left we've got a badly written one, and on the right one that's thought about what the audience might want. So over here, I'll post these below the video, it's a narrative thing. As you know, we have recently conducted a comprehensive survey to gather customer feedback on our products and services. The results are quite illuminating. They provide us with insights into several areas. This is a whole lot of fluff. Someone could read the first 2 or 3 sentences and they don't really know anything. They haven't learnt anything. A busy business partner, executive, wants to know, what am I going to learn from this and why is it relevant to me? So on the right you can see the same thing written, thanks to ChatGPT, in a more customer audience-centered way. Dear team, we need to enhance our products and services based on recent customer feedback, focusing on faster support response times, a better online interface, and more frequent communication. So that's telling them what they need to know right up front. They may stop reading then, but at least they've got the key idea. Then you've got the key actions, do the following, and next steps. So this is all geared to the interest of a manager. It tells them what they need to do, why they need to do it, and give them strict instructions. It doesn't give them a meandering account of what you did and the arguments you went through, which they really don't care about. If you're writing a novel, of course they might care about this, a biography, they might care about your inner thinking processes. I'm not saying you always need this style, but know your audience, what do they want? A classic example of this came in the writing of instruction manuals. These went through a great revolution in the last 20 or 30 years. It used to be the instruction manual for, let's say, a new piece of computer software, or in this case a coffee making machine. They were written by the engineers who built them, and they might explain, well, here are the 5 functions it can do. Menu number 7 will give you these 6 options. And that's the way the engineer who built it thinks about it, because they had to write that piece of software or wire up this button, and so they had to decide what functions that button would have. So it's the way they think about it. But again, it's the way that the engineer thinks about it, not the way that the user thinks about it. So here is an example of an instruction manual for a coffee maker, written from the engineering point of view and written from the user point of view. So the engineer says it's equipped with a 1200 watt heating element, a 10-cup glass carafe, and integrated water filtration system. It has a technical specifications. It's a model CM101 with borosilicate glass and a replaceable charcoal filter. And here are the operating instructions. Well, that's great. That's the way an engineer thinks about these things. But you, when you've bought a coffee making machine and you want to use it, you don't care about these things, at least not your top priority. Your top priority is get it to make me lovely coffee. So here is the same thing written from the point of view of the user. Congratulations on your purchase. It's designed to brew the perfect cup every time. Getting started. 1. Fill the water tank. 2. Add coffee grounds. 3. Start brewing. Tips for best coffee experience. So this is thinking about what does the user want and can we write it in that sort of structure. Apple, the company, famously changed the way computer manuals are written along these lines. It used to be that computer manuals were very much here is the file menu, and here is the edit menu, and here is the design menu, and here are the 15 options, and a long list of all these options. Whereas Apple decided that most people, when they have a computer, they want to actually know, how do I get it to do something? So instead of saying, here are the 5 options in the word processor, they might say, how do you write a letter? How do you write a CV? How do you write these things? So focusing it on what the user wants and not the way the system actually works, which takes a lot of discipline. There's a lot of research in it, but it's really important. And the way to be sure this is working well is to listen to your audience. Get feedback from users. Does your manual actually help? Look at the frequently asked questions. What do they post on Google? How do I get it to do this? So getting to know more and more what the users actually want and what they find confusing can allow you to improve these things.